Yep, I see him. Okay. I'd like to call to order the Public Health and Community Service meeting, 8:30. Can I get a roll call, please?
Hendricks. Ness.
Here.
Shorten.
Here.
Van Hoff.
Present.
Wagner.
Here.
Altoff.
Here.
Von Bergen.
Here. Can I get a motion to let Mr. Shorten into the meeting, who's joining us remotely? All right,
I'll
Ms.
second.
Wagner, second by Ms. Altoff. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those against, motion carries. Welcome, Mike. Next, can I get a motion for minutes?
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes as presented.
All right, Ms. Altoff, second by Ms. Van Hoff. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those against, motion carries. And public comment.
We have none signed up. Last call.
Going once.
We will move along to member comments. Do we have any member comments?
Yes, I have a member
All
comment.
right, Ms. Ness.
So I really debated on whether to say something at the meeting or not about the sales tax situation. But what I really want to put on the public record in public health, because we are the committee that oversees that. I want to be clear that this is the county's mistake, and I expect the county to fix it. This is having significant impacts on our providers. I've heard from several of them, talked to several of them, but it's the impact to our residents that is more pressing on me. So, you know, as my old Italian mother used to say, if you break it, you fix it. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right, seeing no other member comments, we will move on to the routine consents agenda. Are there any items anyone would like?
I'll make a motion to approve the routine consent agenda as presented.
I second.
Okay, Ms. Altoff and Ms. Ness.
Hey,
Mr. Shorten, did you?
yeah, can we pull 6.2, please, for discussion?
Then I'll amend my motion to approve the consent agenda 6.1. You agree that my amendment, you
Oh, I
second my
agree
amendment.
I agree, whatever she said.
Okay.
Whatever she said. I'm good.
Be careful.
Right. Okay, whatever. So can I get a roll call for 6.1, please?
Wagner.
Yes.
Van Hoff.
Yes.
Shorten.
Yes.
Ness.
Yes.
Altoff.
Yes.
Von Bergen.
Yes. Okay, how about a motion for 6.2?
Come on up.
Sure.
I have a team
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Ms. Wagner motions, Ms.
You're
Van Hoff
right.
seconds.
Yes.
Thank you.
Take
Get that
charge.
out of the way.
Take charge.
That's what I like about you, Tracy.
It's Halloween.
Well, I left my costume.
I have mine
Decided to
on.
be dignified.
So, Mr. Shorten, did you have a question, or do you want us to just kind of hit
Yeah,
some
no.
headlines?
If you want to give me an overview first, and then I'll see if I have questions from that point.
Okay, so this is the renovation project for the Crystal Lake facility. And we had originally estimated the costs at $2,454,295, and the basic renovation construction, and I'm going to look at my colleagues if I get this wrong, the renovation construction portion came in at $2,822,000. Then we already had accounted for the Kluber architectural and engineering costs of $194,425. In addition, we have Crystal Lake permits, temporary work accommodations, moving and storage costs, the furniture, fixtures, and equipment, and all of this is outlined in the information that's in the packet.
Right.
Then there's the additional roof and envelope project that was already budgeted on the county side under capital. And then there's another $12,500 of architectural and engineering costs there. So that roof envelope project is $482,500. So when you take the whole big picture, the total project came in at $3,652,375, less the roof and envelope, less the 2.454 that we already budgeted. That leaves $715,580 in order to pay for the project, needed to appropriate out of ARPA. Which, I don't know, do you want to jump in at all, or am I out? Good so far?
And obviously those
So far,
funds
so
are
good.
available.
Why don't you ask him if he has any questions, if I might?
She did.
She did.
Yeah, so
I do.
Okay,
let's do that.
So the 482,000 roof and envelope project, is that initially supposed to be paid for from the ARPA funds?
no,
Okay, so that was always intended to be separate.
correct.
Okay, so the increase to 715,000 increase is just from the ARPA fund project.
Correct, that would need ARPA funds in order to fulfill, and meet the total cost of the project.
Okay, so when I processed this, I read the 482 as coming from general fund because we didn't have allocation from ARPA, but it sounds like that's separate. The additional 715 that's needed relative to the ARPA project will come from ARPA funds. Am I stating that clearly?
Correct, because as the capital project, that roof and envelope project was already planned or budgeted, and so we're just folding it all in together to be done all at the same time.
Okay, I understand. All right, thank you. That's all I had.
Can I just make one comment on that?
Please.
Just for full transparency. So we had them, I guess from funding, it's two separate projects, but from actually doing the work, it's really one project. So we had it in the capital plan because we were kind of waiting to see where we ended up with ARPA. So we're actually gonna have a discussion next week at finance where we may move that 400 into ARPA because, we have to have everything allocated by the end of December is our first challenge. Our second challenge is it has to be in very specific buckets. So this would actually be a pretty good one to move into ARPA, but that hasn't been decided or voted on or anything. So we have them separate for now, but I think in December, that will probably be up for discussion.
Thanks.
Okay, seeing no further, Mike, did you have something else or is your hand still up?
Yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
I probably should just give it a thumbs up. I'd prefer to move that 482,000. If we can pay for that from ARPA funds, that would help a lot too from the budget standpoint.
Yes, and then
That's
that
it.
kind of leaves money in the capital budget to look at projects that maybe don't fit within the ARPA buckets that we have to fit it. So it's kind of just moving things around. But we haven't decided that yet. Like I said, we'll be presenting to finance next week.
Okay. All right, seeing no other questions, could I get a roll
Terry
call?
and I are meeting with Finance Chairman Scala on Monday morning to kind of lay out some of our ARPA options.
Oh, perfect. Can I get a roll call, please?
Jordan.
Yes.
Ness.
Yes.
Van Hoff.
Yes,
Wagner.
Yes.
Altoff.
Yes.
Von Bergen.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we can, Adam was going to give kind of a brief update on staff. Can we do that right now?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it kind of ties with this presentation, but So we've had, between Brandon, Hiker, and myself, yes, it's a little closer, we've looked at the Community Development Division kind of in several different approaches, several different manners over the last 6 weeks. And we've tied it all back to, the big projects that we have coming up, which are going to be the consolidated plan, the CAPER, which is really the end of this last season, but the consolidated plan is our 5-year plan going forward. Looking at how we did it in the past, and this was kind of as we were assessing what holes need to be filled and where does attention need to go, it was pretty evident that the consolidated plan fell short of some of the goals and maybe and specifically with outreach that historically, how's this? It could have been done better. And so when we looked at it this year, this go around for the next 5 years, we wanted to put a lot of attention towards that. We also need to bring up a new administrator. We're interviewing, that's going very well, but to throw this major plan on that person and hit the ground running with all of the other items that we have going. Staff's done a phenomenal job of diving right in, really covering the bases with, in terms of overlap and picking up and shouldering some of this load. And with the candidates that we have right now, there's an expectation that this person will tooth right in. But we know they won't be able to carry and hold that torch the whole way. So while that goes and we shore up the long-term staffing needs, what we've found is that we're kind of heavy in staff. We have currently 2 senior CD specialists. Brandon is 1 seat. We've had vacant for several months, the second one, and we've deferred hiring on that for a couple reasons, but now we look like we're going to defer hiring on that long term because as we've realized going through the assessment, we can cover what we need to cover. We also have an additional temp that through this, just their term expired and they left. That work was absorbed. Not saying that hey, we weren't doing it or carrying this, it's just we've turned the way we've approached some of these tasks into, as opposed to duplicative effort, just streamlining it into this person will do this. So it's a little bit of a better, a comprehensive approach. What that's led to is the opportunity to bring in an outside consultant to specifically address this consolidated plan and the biggest shortcoming that we've had, which is outreach. And really, to put a pin in it, is getting the needs from our communities that we can plug into this consolidated plan. For the last couple of years, we've been dinged very bluntly, as I've found out in working with HUD, that we have too many goals. And when we have too many goals, we're still doing our core operations here, but all these other goals are getting marked with zeros. We're accomplishing nothing on them, and that's bringing down some of our scores and some of our reviews, and specifically our CAPER, our Consolidated Action Plan evaluation and review is getting hit in that. So we've interviewed and secured, all but secured actually. We've got a verbal agreement with Derek Moorfield, retired city administrator of McHenry, to work with us to bridge that gap between county and municipality needs to really get good foundational needs that the county has vocalized, as opposed to some of our approaches before, which were surveys and some outreach that just didn't have, we get the same feedback when we do specific outreach. And so it was kind of a plug from last plan, and it just plugged into the plan that we're operating now. We'd like to break that cycle. And I think this is, before it was very heavy strategic planning, and now what we're looking at is very heavy opportunity to embrace. Yeah.
And Derek Moorfield, too, prior to being city administrator of McHenry, was assistant administrator in Woodstock, and prior to that, he was the community development director in Woodstock. So huge amounts of experience in that regard.
Huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're very excited. We're beaming. So that was the update that I wanted to provide. And why this tooth's in, if you want me to parlay into the presentation, Where this tooth's in, it's gonna be a lot of the same outreach. What Enrique and Lee are going to review are gonna be these impediments, you know, from zoning or building codes or inspection practices that otherwise add another level, a barrier that maybe doesn't need to be there for housing. And that will be countywide, as they'll explain here in a bit. And the other nugget that I'll throw out there to highlight, and I don't want to steal their thunder, but it's a pilot program. We're developing, or we've got this partnership with CMAP, but one of the perks of a pilot program is that there's zero match for the county. So it's the perfect price.
Yes. We like those.
Adam, I have a question. So you're going to be looking at zoning and structure in the workforce housing work group. Year 2 is also going to be, you know, moving forward some of their recommendations.
Mm-hmm.
I also know there's another situation that's unfolding in the county. I don't want to talk about it right now, but are we all going to work together? Because
I hope so.
I mean, you know, this frustrates me when someone comes in and they're going to do a plan and we have a plan and then some, I'm like, seriously, dudes, can we figure out how to be, you know, collaborating together using our energy so that we're not being redundant? I find that frustrating.
Me too.
Okay.
No, there's no, I don't like lifting things twice. I don't like doing anything.
It's hard enough.
I'm with you, I get it.
And the other thing I want to ask you about, under the continuum of care, who is chairing that? Who's from the staff side? Is that Brandon
Yeah.
doing the
Yeah,
continuum
so
of care?
our administrative lead role will continue, and funding obviously with that as well. As we look at this, I mean, it's always been an issue. I'll say it that way. We will always have the administrative lead, but it's always been an issue that L County will do that. You know, we turn into all things for the COC, and that sometimes is a natural occurrence, just to bridge a time period. But we've gotten a little bit more buy-in. So just with Brandon's approach and a little bit more, he's a pretty good delegator and follow up. So it's been a little bit more moving the needle up. Yeah, we'll still be
thanks.
there. You betcha.
I would like to add that Brandon has been doing a great job.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yes, he has. Yeah, he has.
Brandon, yay.
He's not in here.
And so is the rest of the staff. I mean, and Bianca, Eric, they've been doing great. Joe and Tyler, everybody.
Great.
Yeah.
Do you have any other questions? All right.
All right.
Thank you much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
We will then move on to the presentation.
All right. Are they live? Can Enrique and Lee, can you guys hear us? All right, we can see you. Spectacular. Well, yeah, Enrique and I have been speaking for about the last month and a half or so. He was initially penciled to come here at the last month's meeting, but as we found out, there's multiple things, and he was at the APA conference in Illinois at Champaign. So he was definitely unavailable. We got him this month, and I'll let Enrique, I'll let you introduce the housing readiness plan and the concepts. I touched on some of the little nuggets just to tee it up.
Perfect. Welcome.
Thanks.
Hey, good morning. Can everyone hear us? Hey, good morning. Can-
Yes. Yeah, so shaking our heads, yes, we can hear you.
Fantastic. And we have a few slides. Do you all have access to see those?
No, you need to share your screen.
Did you hear that? You need to share your screen.
Yep, I am on it.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I can just quickly address everyone in the room. Thank you for having us this morning. This has been in the makings for quite some time now. My predecessor, Jonathan Birch, who was the principal planner here at CMAP, was working with King County, working with Hans on this amazing opportunity for McHenry County. I just want to thank you all for allowing us to come into this space and talk a little bit more about the project that we're really anxious to kick off. But My name is Enrique Castillo. I'm a principal planner at CMAP. I've been at CMAP for 7.5 years, and my role there really has been to do the housing policy work that CMAP does. So again, we're really excited, and I'll hand it over to Lee. And we're hoping that this can be a conversation, a two-way conversation as we go along with the presentation, and we'll be here to answer questions. So.
Great. Good morning, everybody. There's a little bit of echo on my end. Do I sound okay to you all?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Awesome. I'll keep it rolling then. My name is Lee Scooby. I am a planner with CMAP. I've been with the agency for about 3 years. I'm involved in our housing and land use work as well as our climate action work. And so I'm excited to serve as the project manager for this housing readiness project. And so I'm going to walk through some slides just showing you all a little bit of what to expect. And I'm excited to hear your feedback about this. So just starting off, so I will give you a quick introduction to our team and tell you a bit about CMAP. For folks who may not have engaged with CMAP before, we're excited to get to know you and to tell you about the work that we do in the region. And I'll provide an overview of the Housing Readiness Project and talk about next steps. So starting out with the team, myself and Enrique are here. Enrique is the program manager and I'm the project manager. So you will largely be hearing from the two of us. And we've got a wonderful team supporting. Michaela Morales is going to be our outreach and engagement lead. I heard you all talking quite a bit about interest in outreach and engagement. And so Michaela is going to be a wonderful resource for us as we think through that strategy. And Seth Thomas will be taking the lead on the market analysis piece. So we've got a wonderful team of CMAPers who will be supporting this work. And so a little bit about CMAP. We are the comprehensive planning organization for the 7 counties and 284 municipalities of northeastern Illinois. CMAP's work broadly spans the areas of transportation, climate, and regional economy, including our housing and land use program, where we think about the interconnectedness between housing, land use strategies, and economic development. And we are proud to offer a technical assistance program where we collaborate with municipalities and counties all throughout the region to address a really wide range of priorities. So we collaborate on developing plans as well as implementing plans, providing interagency expertise and support. So CMAP, we really enjoy being able to be a facilitator and a convener, bringing together municipal and county partners and helping really facilitate that collaboration. And we have worked with numerous municipalities in McHenry County. We're also currently working with the county on a safety action plan. And so there's a lot of partnerships that we are excited to get to tap into and new partnerships that we're excited to form. And like was mentioned, Housing Readiness is a pilot project, which comes with the exciting perk of there not being any local contribution for that. And so we're excited to work with you on this pilot project. And because it is a pilot, this is also an exciting opportunity for us to really customize the work we're doing so that it fits the needs of McHenry County and that everything we're doing is really tailored to McHenry County. And so a little bit about, so first of all, why housing readiness? So we've got a few different goals here. First, we'd like to help communities build skills so that they can access and administer funding. So we know that there's a lot of funding that's out there, be it through IDA, through county programs, other public or private partners. And so we want to work with municipalities and communities so that they're ready to take advantage of those funding opportunities. We also want to identify and remove barriers to housing development. And so some of these were alluded to already. These could be particular details about zoning or building codes, permitting procedures. We want to really figure out what some of those challenges are and work to remove those barriers so that ultimately we're fostering a housing landscape that meets the needs of both the current and future county residents. So ensuring that we have a housing stock that can serve all of the different people who are living there. So that can include ensuring that there's workforce housing so that people are able to live near where they're working, ensuring there's age-inclusive housing, thinking about folks older than 55 and ensuring that they have the housing that they need, as well as accessible housing for people with disabilities and thinking about affordability for different income levels. And so really what we want is this diverse housing landscape that can meet the needs of the county. And so this is a high-level overview of the process. So we start out with a robust communication and outreach strategy. And so this is something we will look forward to collaborating with the county on as we're figuring out who the different stakeholders are, who the different perspectives are, and so that we can ensure that we're engaging folks and that we're really rooting everything we're doing in that community perspective and really tailoring it to McHenry County and the different municipalities. We'll also be conducting a data-driven housing market analysis. And so this will dive into the nitty-gritty details about housing stock numbers, trends over time, what's the data really telling us, so that we can put the data together with what we're hearing when we talk with folks in our outreach. And from there, we'll develop key recommendations. And so these will be based on the both qualitative and quantitative findings, starting to identify what some of those barriers are and thinking through how to remove them. And this is an interim deliverable where we'll be looking forward to getting feedback based on everything we've heard and really collaborating as we develop these recommendations, which will lead to the housing readiness checklist. And so what we're looking to produce will be a list of steps that the county can take or that municipalities can take in order to become more housing ready. And this will be supported with graphs and maps and charts and all of the information that's needed in order to take the actions that are listed in there. And finally, a developer panel is our opportunity to bring in those private sector voices so that we can get more of that developer perspective on these housing readiness actions and to hear from them. If we were to make, say, this change in zoning, how might the developers feel about that? And so this is really about fostering that productive dialogue with the private sector particularly. And just taking a closer look at some of these earlier steps. So the communications and outreach strategy is really a fundamental beginning step. We'll be outlining who those stakeholders and audiences are and thinking through the different ways to engage with folks. And so this could include conducting interviews and focus groups. So taking time to talk with people and really hear their perspectives and go in depth in a, say, hour-long conversation where we can really own in on some of those opportunities and challenges. And also going to be leveraging digital surveys as a way to capture more broad feedback. So intending to survey both municipal leadership as well as residents so that we're getting the full range of perspectives and that we're really fully understanding the different stakeholders and what their perspectives are. And we'll also be forming a steering committee. And so this steering committee will be very key in guiding this work. And so we'll be collaborating to identify stakeholders and priority audiences and figuring out what are the voices that really need to be in the room and how can we have a diverse and representative steering committee that will help drive this work. So providing direction for the project, reviewing key deliverables, supporting with outreach, whether that's identifying more folks for outreach or helping us think through the different avenues for outreach, and attending project meetings. So the steering committee will meet at least once for each of those key deliverables we'll be producing so that we can make sure that we're getting county feedback every step along the way so that at the end we're producing deliverables that are really meeting the needs of the county and the municipalities and very actionable deliverables. And if this is something that interests you, I have on the screen, put your name in the chat. I know a lot of folks are in person. There'll be plenty of ways to get a hold of us. I'll give my email at the end of this. So we will be looking forward to hearing from folks who might be interested in either being on the steering committee or offering some insights about who might be a good fit for the steering committee. And the last piece I wanted to provide some more information about is another one of our earlier steps, which is that quantitative housing market analysis. And so we've got a few key questions that are driving this analysis and also the opportunity to customize the analysis. So if there are particular questions, particular data that would be valuable, we also have some flexibility in what will go into this housing market analysis. So some of the key questions that we're thinking of going into this: what's the feasibility for different types of new residential development? So is there an interest in developing that type of housing? Does it make sense financially and from a market perspective? And what could the county do to help attract those different types of residential development? This will also include a really significant land use, zoning, and existing conditions piece. So I heard there was a mention of there being already some existing plans. We, in this market analysis, want to get a firm handle on what these existing conditions are. So what the zoning and the land use looks like, if there have been recent changes in this. And then, so we can then think through what types of large scale changes might be needed in order for the county to become housing ready. And so a few next steps on our agenda: we are planning to do a more formal project kickoff in January. We're excited to be here today doing this sort of pre-kickoff interaction with you all, but we'll plan to do a bigger, more formal kickoff hit the ground running in the new year. And then on the CMAP side of things, we are working to develop the project timeline. So for all of those actions that have been identified, we're scoping out how long those things will take and starting to think through the beginnings of our communications and outreach strategy, our different stakeholders and how we might engage them. And so if you're interested in this, I'd encourage you to, you're welcome to use the chat if that's available to you. And I will also provide my email address. And we'll have, I'm sure, plenty more ways to keep in touch as we're going along too. And so with that, I am going to hop out of share screen and I'm happy to answer any questions.
I'm looking at Lou and Pam.
I guess mine is more from a process perspective. I mean, I'm assuming CMAP's direct contact will be through the county, correct?
Yes, so we'll be working directly with Adam, and then obviously the steering committee is our soundboard, right? Our touch points when it comes to deliverables for review, and also, you know, bringing in folks to participate in the outreach and engagement that we do. So, but yeah, we'll be working directly with Adam and the county.
And I'm assuming that there'll then be a contact with McCog.
Absolutely, and that's why I stepped up.
Yeah.
Shaylin is listening. Just,
I would assume, yeah.
She's listening. She's not on actively, but if Shaylin, I know you're listening. Yeah, you know, the McCog Executive Committee has had workforce housing as now it's kind of a standing item on, on their monthly agenda, and we've kind of asked them over the next couple months to kind of develop a municipal plan, because really housing it's a municipal issue principally. I would imagine that Lee and Enrique might want to engage with the executive committee. You know, we talked about a January kickoff. I think this team presenting to the executive committee would make a lot of sense in the coming months. And because this is going to be more successful if we've got municipality engagement on the ground level.
Obviously, and I would assume that some of the outreach will also be with city planners too, with regard to zoning, et cetera, so that would all just be part of the shared services. I mean, from McCog to.
Yeah, Shaylin gets that top-down approach,
right.
You know, dealing with the mayors, but certainly there's a bottom-up, you know, working with our planners and city managers and such.
And my last question is, I'm assuming they also have the white paper that we did from the county level. Yeah.
I'm not. I can't.
I would assume.
I know it's a prize piece of literature, but
I'm going to say this. I feel very frustrated that we did this work for a year. The workforce group did develop some of the stuff you're talking about in your project outline. I don't know why we did it. I mean, really, if they're going to do it, why are we doing it? Now, just let me be frustrated.
Be frustrated.
About redundancy. Like, a good use of our time for a year, gathering, collecting all this data, looking at the housing situation, the exact stuff you're talking about, and I'm just going to say me, I had no idea that CMAP would come in with a housing readiness plan. That's my frustration.
Nor did I.
Well, I want to.
You started, respectfully, you started that a year and a half ago.
Well, okay, I don't want to argue. So
I'm going to be Pollyanna, because I always am.
Yeah.
So mine is to please make sure that CMAP gets a copy now of all the work that we have already done, include Lou minimally, me too, but minimally, in some of that outreach so that you understand what was done. And I think our next step from our report anyway was to work with the municipalities and with shared services. So we just need to coordinate. Don't get frustrated.
No, I don't. Pam, I can be frustrated about not knowing.
So may I just say something?
Sure.
The work that the two of you did was wonderful, but it wasn't complete. You were focused on workforce housing. There was nothing in there about affordable housing or age-specific housing. I'm just, he had 3 different categories that, who was it, Lee, that she mentioned there. She specifically mentioned workforce housing, age-specific housing, and affordable housing. So I like that. I don't think the work that you did was wasted. It was in our comprehensive plan. It was what work that needed to be done, but it can be rolled into this bigger plan to include those other two areas that we haven't focused on as much. Because you guys were working on workforce housing.
Lori, because other organizations are focused on that. I mean, most of the affordable housing that's been developed in this county is senior housing. We don't get new projects for families. We get project development around senior housing because it's more presentable to the public than families who need workforce housing. So I am just telling you that for me, government is redundant over and over, and I am not interested in that. So I'm assuming that you will partner with the work we've done here. I get that. I find this frustrating, that's all. Because we've been talking about workforce housing for 30 years. And I'm just being clear about how I feel about it. Not that I don't think you don't have a great plan and you won't be an asset to the county as we move, because providing this to the community is our priority, not how I feel. That's not the priority. Having housing on a continuum for our residents that they can afford, that's decent, is our priority. I don't like redundancy, that's all. And now I'm done talking.
So Enrique, before you go on, can I have a comment from you on what I said about those three areas that you're focusing on? Does that resonate with you, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one, I want to highlight your frustration. You know, this is something that we've heard around the region, right, where work is being done, and there's not enough collaboration between some of the work. So, one of the things that we want to do in our research process is to identify all the work that has been done in the county and at the uni level around the county. When it comes to housing, when it comes to workforce, the three topic areas that you were just talking about, and really bring them together and highlight some of those themes, and rope them and put them into the fabric of this housing readiness plan that we're going to be creating. We invite you to join the steering committee, because even your comments that you are bringing up today or right now, those are really valuable, and that's exactly what we need in order to move the work forward. And again, to highlight some of the work that's already being done, and put recommendations to that, put a little bit more meat to some of the work that's already been done.
I guess the only other question that I would have is, I know you're working with 7 different counties, so are you doing projects like this with any of the other counties right now? And will you be able to share some of the things that you learned, again, getting back to what Member Ness mentioned, that so we don't have the redundancy if they bake the pie over there, we don't want to have to start with the ingredients. I don't like pie all that much, but it came to me as a metaphor.
Yeah, no, that's a really solid point. So I think I have maybe I need to back up just a little bit as to why this project came to the table. So about a year ago, actually, we applied for a pro-housing grant from HUD, and this was supposed to be a regional application. All the counties had signed up with us to go into this grant. It was $10 million. It was really to identify what those barriers to creating affordable housing, workforce housing, all the gamut of housing that is needed in the region. And we unfortunately did not get that grant. But what we did hear from counties was that, they wanted CMAP to step into this space and do a little bit more technical assistance. We know that there's no one size fits all. Our region is very diverse. Each county looks so different from each other. And even the municipalities that are within those counties look so different from each other as well. So there is no one size fits all. But with this checklist, right, you can customize it to a municipality, knowing what those obstacles are at the county level. This is a pilot project. We have one other housing readiness plan right now that's in progress, and that's for Kane County. We are just, maybe a few steps ahead on that one than you guys. We're already working on the market analysis there. We're finalizing the steering committee. And so, we're hearing some of this very similar things that, has already been brought to the table today about, existing work and how do we elevate that work? How do we include it in this housing plan as well? So it's a pilot. We're really excited about it. And, there's room for innovation here, and we hope that you guys can provide that as well.
So thank you. Just to clarify, you guys have not seen the workforce housing white paper that McHenry's created. Okay, so it's excellent, excellent, and it encompasses so many different facets. And where are you in the process of collecting information and analyzing any of it for the different counties?
So we're not doing it for all the counties. We have 2 housing readiness pilots happening, right? The one for Kane County and then the one for McHenry. We just started the analysis for Kane County, so we're looking to have the first draft of that completed before the end of the year. So if that's something that, Adam, you'd like for us to share to kind of see what that looked like, we'd be more than happy to share that. Again, we will provide a very general outline of what are the data points that we want to pull, but there's also room for customization, right? So if there's a little bit more data points that you'd like for us to include in the market analysis, that's more than, we'd be more than happy to. We're also going to be conducting surveying. So there'll be 2 surveys that we're going to be creating. One is for the munis. We really want to get to know the munis through this surveys, and if they could, provide that information, that'd be great. And then there's one for residents. We want to hear from the residents too, like, what do they see as obstacles when it comes to housing in the county?
So thank you for that. It sounds exactly pretty much what was done here, except of course we are focusing workforce housing. I would really suggest that you look at this, and then I would speak with Lou and Pam, because they have done all of this work for more than a year and compiled all this information, and it possibly could be a model that you could use in the other counties. And that way you're not duplicating work, you're not starting from zero, which I know you're not, but you could see what's done here, and then hopefully when you're looking at the different counties, you would have similar data points, similar questions, and that way it may just create efficiencies in the work.
Absolutely. I appreciate you putting that white paper on our radar. We are just starting to get our bearings in McHenry County, planning to hit the ground running more in the new year. But I very much noted on the white paper and the folks to reach out to. If there's any other work like that that's been done, we certainly want to build on what's already been done. We're not looking to reinvent any wheels. We like the wheel as it is. So if there's other work that you think we could build on, please feel free to give names, send us links. We definitely want to build on the work that's already been done.
Okay, and I'm not trying to tell you how to do your job. I'm just saying they have done a terrific job, and it's really something you should consider.
And I want to be clear. I'm not opposed to collaboration. What I find frustrating is that you have this project, we have data, they're collecting data, we were collecting data. That's redundant to me. Why were we both doing that? And you don't even know about the housing report, and yet you're doing a housing readiness plan. We've had this workforce housing work group here for over a year. I'm just saying, that, I find that frustrating that you didn't know that this work had been going on here. I just wonder how that happened. And you don't need to answer it.
No, but I think, you're just starting, right? You haven't collected anything yet. They haven't done any of that work. So they can, now that they know about white paper, they can build on that.
How long has this partnership been, when did you establish this partnership with CMAP?
So, you know what, Enrique, we met the end of last month. And that was when this was penciled in as a potential introduction presentation.
So you're getting it at the beginning.
We had this tentatively on the agenda a month ago. With all the transition, we weren't quite ready. It's here.
Yeah.
I don't think you're, yeah, okay, never mind. I'm going to be quiet because I'm just irritated. So I'm just going to be quiet. I am.
Yeah,
just to be quiet.
Just to be transparent. We just started the project, right? We still need to even execute our our scope of work and charter with the county and making sure that, this is in line with everyone. Thoughts around, the work that we're going to be doing. So we haven't done any of that research yet. We haven't pulled any data. Part of the first step for us is actually doing research on what's already been done.
Well,
so
that
that
would
we
have been
can build
great.
off of that.
Enrique, that would have been great before you made this presentation to us, that you had done some research into what has already been done in the county before you came in. That probably would have been better for me had you done, or someone telling you what had been done. That's all.
Absolutely.
I'm, okay. Thank you.
Any last words from anybody else?
We're excited. This, I think we can build on this. I think it'll be wonderful.
Yeah, I am too. I'm excited because I think we're looking in areas that we didn't focus in before. So
I'm sure I
happy
will
that-
be excited.
Yeah, I'm happy that we're doing that. So welcome. Welcome
Thank
to
you.
our humble abodes.
We're excited to continue working with you all, and we do encourage the candid feedback. I'd much rather if there's concerns or frustrations, I appreciate you voicing them. So I did just want to say thank you for that as well.
Thank you, and you can leave.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving forward.
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
How were we selected? I think that's pretty cool.
Kane and McHenry, out of all the, I mean.
I don't know either. I mean, the John Birch, maybe Enrique can address that too. John Birch
Yeah.
was the lead, at least he's still even on the website when I was looking at it yesterday after we were talking. How was McHenry County selected, Enrique?
Yeah, so this goes back over a year. Again, we had put out a municipal survey 2 years ago, asking the municipalities around our region, the 284 communities that we serve, what kind of work would you like CMAP to offer in the following year for the coffer projects. We put out a coffer projects every single year, and we select these projects based on topic areas that we want to address to get to our regional goals. And so via that survey, we heard municipalities saying, hey, it'd be nice if CMAP would step into the housing space. Before that, we did do some housing work, but it was always collaborative work through the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus. I'm not sure if you've heard of Homes for a Changing Region. That was the extent of most of the housing work that we were doing, unless it was part of a chapter in a comprehensive plan. So we heard municipalities loud and clear. This is where the conversation began with McHenry County, really talking about like, hey, that's a great idea. You really should step into the housing world when it comes to, us being the regional connector and technical assistance provider. So a few months forward, we found out that HUD was going to put out a grant, $10 million grant to really address some of those housing barriers. And so we asked all the counties, would it be beneficial if we put in a regional application so we could address these housing issues? We were going to be able to use this grant in the span of 5 years, understanding where each county was, that we know that each county is in a different location on their housing journey. And we had, had Jonathan Birch, my predecessor, had a lot of conversations with McHenry County. I'm not sure with who, I can't, I don't have names. But, we made sure that as we did this application, McHenry County identified that, a housing readiness plan would be a pretty good idea, for us to really identify what those barriers are. And so when we found out we didn't get the grant, well, actually, let me back up just a little bit. As we were going through the grant process, CMAP had identified, some technical assistance that we could provide regardless if we got the grant or not. And McHenry County was one that, was identified, as well as Kane County, that could really use a housing readiness plan. And so that's how that became a whole, that's how we selected it. I guess if, to answer your question was, 2 counties stepped forward and they were like, hey, we really need this assistance. At the time, we were looking for some housing work to dive into as an agency. And so we also have 2 other projects that are happening. We have the housing snapshots, which I'm not sure if folks are familiar, but CMAP provides community snapshots, which has very basic demographic information on each community in the region that's accessible, downloadable. So we wanted to take that one step forward, because the other thing that we heard in the survey was that we want housing data, right? We want housing data that really breaks down some of the just generic, 10-year information that comes from the census. We want to know what cost burden looks like. We want to know, like, cost burden at the different age buckets, at the different income buckets. So data that has to be, crunched and then delivered. And so we're currently working on that project as well. So these are a few projects that came from that. They're all
Great.
pilots, and this is one of the pilots. So
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, everybody good? All right, thank you, Enrique. We certainly appreciate the presentation. It sounds like maybe they should have been one of the stakeholders in our workforce group.
Maybe not a stakeholder, but I think it would have been good if they had gotten that white paper.
So I'm gonna opine, to add to Lou's frustration, that there's, none of us work in a bubble. I mean, while we're doing this, 7 other entities, I mean, issues don't just percolate in one area, they percolate all over the place. I'm going to assume that who John was working with, no longer there, was Hans,
Yes.
who is no longer here.
Right.
So we did lose some, ability, continuity in all of that. We're back where we need to be. Again, I'm thrilled that McHenry County is one of the counties that was chosen. I can't even express, an addition to what we've done, or a recognition. I'm gonna look at it as recognition that we're interested and we've addressed the issue. So, I guess I didn't come as a crabby, curly-haired lady this morning.
You're out of here.
I'm out of character for Halloween.
Okay. Once again, thank you for your presentation. And then we will move forward, although it looks like I don't see any reports. And future topics. I think we're good.
Wait until after the
We
election.
learned from Anna, don't have too many goals.
Exactly,
We won't make them.
exactly.
So I'll make a motion to adjourn.
No, in terms of future topics, your next meeting is being changed.
Yep.
A little bit.
To when?
It's this short Thanksgiving week.
Yeah, it was supposed to be
It
Wednesday.
was supposed to be Wednesday, the 27th,
I
before Thanksgiving.
had asked.
We're doing it when?
The 26th.
Okay.
It's
So it'll be
Tuesday.
November 26th, and we are going to plan mental health board interviews that day.
Great.
There is at least, I believe, 3 vacancies or 3 spots to be up for consideration. The portal for mental health board applications opens tonight, midnight?
Tomorrow night.
Okay, tomorrow.
I'm not doing it at midnight.
So the Transportation Committee canceled their meeting yesterday, and Tracy seized it and moved it, you guys, one day close, farther away from Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we also have CDHG interviews that day as well, so it'll be packed with interviews.
So we're having, it's the 26th,
It's been moved on your calendars.
and then we have law and government on the 25th, and no transportation.
And I'm not certain that we'll have long government.
Yeah, if there's not a whole lot going on, yeah, I mean, behind the scenes, but nothing for committee. Can I ask, don't we have a motion on the floor to adjourn?
There was
think they
a
ignored me.
wait a minute after that motion was.
And nobody
No one
seconded.
seconded, so
Nobody
go ahead,
seconded.
Pam.
In reference to that, could maybe we get some information on specifically what they are looking for those specific positions, for those 2 entities? if, I know that there was some discussion about, getting somebody who had more finance background, getting somebody who had more community not-for-profit experience. Could we maybe reach out and ask if they're specifically seeking someone to fill, a slot that maybe they have too many? I know we did on public health. We have too many medical professionals, not anybody from the environment, not anybody from the restaurant. So maybe I would just like to know if they've got any specific needs that they're looking for.
Are you talking about mental health board?
I'm talking about both.
Oh, and I know.
Well, and I did look for that piece on the mental health board. In the amended law gives them the power to recommend. It just was drafted in the last legislative session. I can't find it. But it's in the new redraft.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that, and I don't know exactly how Chair Mushini wants to exercise that.
Well, I think that they should be clear about how they want to exercise.
I respect, I agree. I think there has been some conversations with Connie about perhaps sitting in on the interviews that you guys do, but that's a little bit up in the air yet.
Okay. Great.
I know we've had that conversation with CDHG.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I mean, I would definitely be interested in hearing what the mental health board, who they recommend to be on their board. They're the ones who are the experts about it. Yeah, yeah. So even if she can't be here, or somebody can't be here, if they want to send a memo or an email saying this is who we recommend, that would be.
We've always shared all the applicants with that board and their leadership, and that's going to continue. They're very aware of what's going on, not sneaking up on anybody.
Okay. With that, Pam?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Van Hoff. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay, now
I'm ready.
Brett needs us.
Frustrated.
I'm gonna grab one.